You mentioned you called a lot of Lady Vols games. You called 6 national championships with the Lady Vols. But there was a time early in your career where you felt like maybe you were struggling a little bit. So you called Pat Summitt, wanted to meet with her, and ask her advice on what you could do to jumpstart your career. How did that conversation go?
It was funny, and I called her because of the fact that I'd suffered with her through those 7 times she'd been to the Final Four and hadn't won. People forget that.
Yeah, that's AIAW and NCAA.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people forget that. I mean, she wasn't this overnight success.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very frustrating for her to get to these Final Fours and not win. You know, back then Louisiana Tech was so good, and a bunch of other teams were really powerhouses back then, and she was trying to get over the hump. You know, when Pat Summitt took over the job, her first job was to beat Tennessee Tech. I mean, they were the powerhouse in the state, Marion Metters. And you had to win the state tournament to advance in the AIW, and Tennessee couldn't get by Tennessee Tech. And so finally Pat crossed that hurdle and kept going. So when she finally wins the first championship in '87, and I've been doing their games since 1978, 79. And but I'd been at Channel 10 since 1980, and I was happy with my career, but I'm thinking, what's the next step? How do I get to the next step? So I called Pat and said, can I take you to lunch? And we went to the Soup Kitchen there on Market Square. It was one of her favorite places. And so I was asking her, I said, what kept you going? You know, I thought in '84 when you won the gold medal that you were going to, I mean, what's bigger than the gold medal in the United States, coaching the Olympic team?
Yeah, and that was in Los Angeles when that occurred too.
And so she goes, well, I still had a burning desire to win a championship at Tennessee. And so I broke down everything we did. From recruiting to nutrition to my staff, conditioning, and I looked at how we were running our practices. We had Shamiqua Holtzclaw, so I went to Phil Jackson to learn how to run the triangle offense because Michael Jordan, that's what they were running for Michael Jordan, and I wanted to get Shamiqua more shots. I hated playing zone, but I knew I had to every once in a while just to change the pace. So I went to Jim Boeheim and figured out how to play zone. And she said I basically just broke down everything we were doing, and I was trying to make people on the team understand that I was the hardest working person there, and I expected them to come up to my level, working hard. And so I said, gosh, that was amazing. And I said, well, and I'm here just because I'm kind of feel like I'm maybe spinning my wheels a little bit trying to figure out what my next step in my career is. And I'm not asking you to call anybody or not asking you to do anything for me. I just need to kind of a kick in the pants. And she I'll never forget it. She leaned across the table, gave me the stare. I mean, she was right here. She gave me the stare. She said, Bob, I don't know what the politics are in hiring people in your business. My guess is the reason your phone's not ringing is that you're not good enough. And I went, what? That wasn't what I was expecting to hear. I mean, she hit me in the head with a hammer. I mean, she just went bam. Same thing she'd tell her players, though.
A.G. Hines Company. They've been around for over 100 years, selling building materials since anyone can remember. Andros Physical Therapy at Blaine and Strawberry Plains. That's where I've gone to rehab my knee, my shoulder, my elbow. When rubbing a little dirt on it ain't enough. Lehman Jewelers offers more than 90 years of combined craftsman experience and is the leader in appraisals, estate, and custom jewelry. Kindness and integrity are our top values. Located in Turkey Creek and Maryville, Lehman Jewelers is your hometown jeweler of choice. Come experience the difference.
And she said, listen, we put your broadcast over all our game films because we need to know what the score is and what the time and all that kind of stuff is. So I listened to every one of your broadcasts. I think you do great. I think you're really good, but somebody doesn't. And so you need to go back tonight and make tonight's sportscast the best you've ever done. And the next Lady Vol game you do, make it the best you've ever done. And you just got to get better if you want to move up. You got to work harder. And I took that to heart. And the next year I get hired by Jefferson Pilot. So she told me the same thing she would tell her players. Just work harder, get better. And that really helped me.
It's Lindsey Nelson that told you to treat, you're a professional, so you wore ties when you did ball games.
Still do.
But if you lose with that tie, that tie's out the window.
Well, so, in football.
In football.
Yeah, basketball, back when you'd lose 10 games a season, I got pretty expensive. But people would give me ties and I'd wear them. But in football, we had two of them that didn't even make it to the bus after losses this year. So the one at Ohio State still in the bowels of Ohio Stadium somewhere. But yeah, that was the idea. I was never going to wear a tie that had a loss in it. And I remember one time Mike Hamilton was telling me that they were in this banquet. And there was some of the at UT, and there were some football managers there being honored for something. And one of them had a really good-looking tie. And Mike Hamilton, he was a pretty good closehound. He liked to dress nicely. So he went up to the manager and he said, "Gosh, that's nice." And he flipped, looked around. That's a Neiman Marcus tie. I said, "Wow, where'd you get that?" He said, "I got it out of the trash can at Notre Dame, and Kesling threw it away." But that was just a little quirk. I just. You wanted to wash out all the bad thoughts about a loss, so I never wore a tie in football and had a loss.
2021 Ford Explorer King Ranch 4x4, $39,950. 2023 Expedition Max Limited 4x4, $49,990. 2024 Ford Bronco 4-door Sasquatch, $54,951. Ray Varner Ford in Clinton, local you trust.
We have an exceptional group of attorneys that work here. We're all trying to be better attorneys, be better advocates for our clients, be better people.
It makes me proud to be part of the team when I see how much the attorneys care about their clients.
It's truly one vision. I feel like every single person who works here has that same vision, and that's to treat all of our clients like family.
We've developed such a tight-knit team. Everyone is unified in being selfless in their representation.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
April Fools. You had a number of April Fools jokes. I want to ask you just about a couple of them. One of them was that you had announced on April Fools that John Ward was retiring and he had become a mechanic.
Yeah.
And he comes rolling out from underneath some car talking about how he was going to be a mechanic. Probably didn't know anything about cars.
Well, John used to make car kits. He actually made cars. They would get these kits from Germany or something. Bob Jones, who had Bob Jones Automotive on Watt Road, that Bob Jones and John would build these cars. And so I thought, well, that'd be a pretty good one. So I said, "John, would you do this?" And he said, "Well, I don't do shtick, but if I decide to do it, what time do you want me there?" I said, "Well, let's do it at 10 o'clock Thursday morning." "Well, I might be there, I might not." So anyway, so we show up, and his wife Barbara's there. So I knew when Barbara was there, John was there. And here comes John walking out with a grease monkey suit on with John on the deal. So he was into it. So we get him. He rolls out from underneath. "Hey, Bob, I got to get back under here. See you later." So we have him changing the oil in the car. And Bill Anderson saying, he's always been a grease monkey. And so he's going to go to work for Bob Jones Automotive full time, quit doing the games. And so he puts oil. And you can see it's on YouTube, so you can go back and look at it. But he puts in the oil in the car, and he said, "Bob, can you take some of that oil over to Bob? He needs some extra oil." I said, "Well, how many should I take?" I said, "Well, give him 6. And then he took the last bit of oil and flipped it over his head and went in the can. He goes, "Bottom," and he keeps going. So that one was really funny. And so we had the one where we changed the school colors, and because Texas had filed suit with the FTC to get exclusive rights to the orange and white color and the UT logo. So Tennessee was going to have to change its school colors. And so we went out to practice, and of course we were by the quarterbacks, and they were wearing their green jerseys. I'm going, well, look, they've already made them take all the orange jerseys off. And then they didn't have the T's off the helmets because they had white helmets. And then Haywood Harris, the sports information director, I asked him if he got the letter from Texas. He goes, "Yeah, we got the letter." I said, "We gave them Davy Crockett and Sam Houston, and this is the thanks we get." Had Majors, Coach Majors was all upset about it. He and Darryl Royal were such good friends, but people went crazy. I mean, and of course at the end of the newscast, you tell them, "Well, that's just an April Fool's joke." They never hear that. That's gone. And another famous one was when they were digging up the turf at Neyland Stadium and going to put natural grass back in. We got some guy with the geology department or something, and he brought some bear skulls down there, and we just didn't ask him. We just go into the UT, and we at the stadium there, and we set up this little place where we're dusting for bear skulls. And what there was going to happen was that when they found the bear skulls, when they were excavating the field, that they found that these black bears were migrating from the Cumberland Plateau through the valley here up to the Smoky Mountains, and so they were figuring out migration patterns of these black bears, and so he brought this map, the state of Tennessee, with these little bear figurines, coming through the valley, and so but the excavation work. And we had Barry Rice over there dusting bear skulls and stuff like that. And so the problem was that the excavation work was going to take a lot longer than they thought, because there were a lot more bear skulls there than they thought. And that Tennessee wasn't going to be able to play their football games at Neyland Stadium that year. They were going to play them at the Liberty Bowl, all their own games. Coach Dickey called me on that one. He said, please leave us out of your April Fool's jokes. But they were a lot of fun, and I really, we enjoyed doing them. And my news director every year would just shake his head, I can't believe you're doing that, and we got to be serious. We did one, too, about, they were going to build the baseball stadium out there off Lovell Road, where the Episcopal School is now. And I live out there, and so all the neighbors out there rallied to kill it, so you couldn't because it would be too noisy. And so I got John Grease, one of the county commissioners, and the guy who owned the property, and got them out there, and they said, well, they couldn't build a baseball stadium, but they were going to build a dog track out there. We'll have dog racing out there. And they'd have some soccer fields and stuff. And they said the reason we think we can sell it to the community is because on Saturday night, the neighbors out here can bring their own dog and race. And they'll get $10,000 if their dog wins or something. So anyway, we had fun with them, but a lot of them were just believable enough. That can't be true, but maybe it is. But the school colors, I remember that when we changed the school colors, we had this lady call me, Mrs. Smith from the Oak Ridge Bridge Club. She called. Said, Bob, we're so upset about Tennessee having to change their school colors. We've written letters, and they reeled off all these politicians they'd sent letters to. I said, have you mailed those? He said, well, we've mailed the first batch. Yeah, we quit playing bridge. We've been writing letters here for the last hour. We just want to know who else we should write letters to. I said, well, Miss Smith, I hate to tell you this, but that was an April Fool's joke. Oh, thank you. So, anyway, it was a lot of fun. Another lady called me. She said, Bob, tell me that's an April Fool's joke about them having to change the school colors. I said, yeah. She says, good. I said, my husband is so upset. I said, well, where is he right now? Well, he's out in the front yard throwing stuff.
You've done a lot as far as the community. There's the Bob and Bert golf tournament that benefits the Helen Ross McNabb. You're on the board of the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Are there any other organizations I'm missing?
Well, I found out about 12 years ago that I have T-cell lymphoma, which is a blood cancer. Not going to kill me as long as I keep it under control, but it's something you got to deal with. So I've been involved in Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I went up to Washington to lobby for some copay bills that we're trying to get passed through. So that was a fascinating experience. And of course, I'm a big brother. My little brother, William, we've been together since he was 10 years old, and now he's 26, and he's in the Navy. And was out on the Abraham Lincoln on deployment. And then when he got off the ship, he's now a recruiter down in Georgia. And he's married, got a little kid, and we're so proud of him. He's part of the family. And so we're proud of him. But so I try to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Boys and Girls Clubs are good. But I've been on Goodwill board. I try and do a lot of stuff with Goodwill. So I just think I've always been told that if you have a chance to help somebody else, you have the right to say yes. And so when people ask me to do things, I try and say yes.
You're in the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. May the 8th, you're going to be honored. Spirit Award from the McNabb Center. And you and Bert are going to be honored at that time. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's nice that they even think about that we have made some kind of impact in the community. But anytime you're recognized, you hope it just generates more attention to our golf tournament, for example. We hope more people participate in the golf tournament. We've been able to build the golf tournament to really something pretty special that raises a lot of money. And when you look at the impact that Helen Ross McNabb Center has in this community with all the problems with mental health and with drug abuse and all those things, I mean, Helen Ross McNabb is a great place to tackle some of those problems. But it takes so much money to to try and fight these issues, to get counselors and people to help and places for people to stay and while they take care of some of these demons they're dealing with. So we've, and my little brother, William, he growing up spent some time at Helen Ross McNabb to deal with some of the issues he'd had with when he was growing up, because he had a pretty rough childhood. So I've always been indebted to the McNabb Center for what they do. So I just think it's always important to give back if you can, and I think we all need to. You got to pay it forward.
One other question. What do you plan to do in retirement?
My wife has told me that I'm limited to 1 hour of Seinfeld a day. And so, other
No
than
binge
that,
watching?
No, 1 hour a day is all I can do. So I don't know. I've got, I just got a call the other day from the YMCA. They want me to do some volunteer stuff. The Goodwill Industries want me to, I'm going to try and do some stuff with them. I can't foresee myself going into any kind of full-time broadcasting, because I'm trying to get out of that. Jimmy, and you know, you've done this for a long time. Since 1974, I've figured out that I've been traveling or doing a game, basketball, football game, every weekend since 1974. I mean, that's a lot. And
Yes.
so I need to spend some time with the grandkids. Yeah. My two grandkids, they're 11 and 9, and they had football games on Saturday, Pee Wee football games. Right. I missed every one of them this year. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's kind of what I said in the start, when we started this, that I've been so busy trying to get through the basketball season, I haven't really thought about that. But as we wind things down a little bit, I'll be able, we're going to travel some and go to a lot of grandkids' plays and concerts and choir recitals, and take my grandson to piano lessons. And my grandson has taken piano lessons from Bill Williams. Yeah. Jack goes over to Bill Williams, the old Channel 10 anchor. Yeah. Every Thursday night he takes piano lessons from Bill. So we're excited about that.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and best of luck these next few weeks as you call your final basketball games.
Love to get to a Final Four with the men. We've never done that, so hope to get that done. Jimmy, thanks. Thanks for all you've done also for our community. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Bob.